Good morning, everybody. It's Kulipup here again, and please ignore my shirt. I don't iron. So, just letting you know that. Word as it comes. Anywho, I wanted to do a very quick video today just based on entities and get to know your entity a little bit better. Now, why am I doing this? Well, this is really for those individuals who have reached level 2 and above. As you are still within the matrix level 1, you will be host to a series of entities which are lower energy or lower frequency individuals. So, you know, using your spells, using your will, using your intent to get rid of those, just using your physical energy just to get rid of them is all you really need to know. So there's going to be a variety of different things that you can do for entities in the matrix level 1, which I will go through. However, it is more and more prevalent nowadays that a lot of people are reaching level 2 and above in their entities. Now, that is because of the massive frequency raise that has been going around the world recently. And because of this energy frequency raise, if your ethereal frequency is going through the roof, it means that on an ethereal level, you're collecting in so much power, so you're going to attract in higher power entities, and the ones that are specific to you, which is the subconscious entities that are created. Because again, what I forgot to mention, or what I, well, not necessarily forgot, but didn't feel it was not necessary or important, but I just wasn't thinking, I wasn't focusing on it. Just as a reminder, we are in a duality matrix. So what that means is for the light there is dark, for good there is evil, for love there is fear, for for dry there is wet. There's just everything has its opposite. Okay, as you raise in frequency, as you gain so much more power, you will have your opposite. And that is why a duality subconscious entity is then created and attached to you. So whilst you're in the lower level 1 of the matrix game of life, just level 1 in the matrix, you have a host of entities because there's different ways that they can suck power from you. You do have your subconscious entity, but it's not, you don't have enough power that it can really start to feed off of you properly. Right? When you get into level 2 in terms of ethereal frequency, that's when you have a lot of power. So your subconscious goes from, I'm just going to help you learn a lesson, to I'm actively going to now try to take you down and bring your frequency level down back to the matrix level 1, where we can harvest your energy and keep you here for a longer period of time. Because as you raise energy, as you raise frequency, you just got to remember these subconscious programs, you'll be too you'll put these entities in a position where you're raising frequency too fast, where they cannot physically take on the amount of power that you're raising to without being burnt off or eliminated. So what they're going to try to do is coerce you, manipulate you, and trick you into believing you are lower frequency, or they will have you believe that you are still at a high level of frequency, all the while that they are in the background taking, until one day you wake up and you realize you're back in the matrix level 1. And you're like, shit, what happened? Right? So it's really, really important that we understand our subconscious programmed entity. Because so many people, when in the past, if you look at the ancient Atlanteans, if you look at mages and witches and so forth from back in the old days, the ancient Egyptians and so forth, all of their knowledge, all of their power, they went to a certain level, but because this entity either coerced them, manipulated them, they didn't know either the right spells, or they didn't have the mental capabilities to push through, they fell back down. The harvest came, took them all out, and this is what we're going to try to avoid this time around with this harvest cycle. So Know your entity. Okay, so what are the main things? I'm sorry, this is so... I swear, I run out of ink on these way too fast. One of the main things, one of the first things that you're going to want to do is you need to, one, know it's an entity. Okay, so how do we know it's an entity that you're dealing with? How do we know that the message that you are getting through, whether that be visually, through feeling, through cognizance, through whatever way that your spirit connects to you, how do you know your spirit has not been infiltrated? Well, there's a couple of ways, and I'm going to give you all of the ways that I know, or that I can pick it up, and so forth, and that I see it. You can take from this what you will. There's going to be plenty of other ways that you can tell. I'm just giving you my personal experience that you can build off of, or see, just gain a little bit of, like, maybe just that little piece to the puzzle that you needed in order to identify. So one of the first things I do when I'm identifying that a program is I look at the language. I know my spirit. I know myself. I know who I am as a spirit. I know who I am as a guide of spirits. Because everybody has a spirit guide. Well, I'm your spirit guide's guide. So I go by language. See, there's a specific way your spirit will speak to you, genuinely speak to you. And a lot of the times it could be firm, but never accusatory. So, and don't get me wrong, like, everybody's spirit is different. However, there's kind of a fundamental, your spirit loves you entirely and wants the best for you. So your spirit is not going to enable you when you are doing poor things to your body. So language. So for example, if I was going off of my diet plan, which I like have, my body is very, very sensitive to fats. If I eat fats, it's like system shutdown. But sometimes I'm like, I really need some chips. Or, oh, that grilled cheese sandwich is looking real good right now. And, or I will just like sugar cookies, which have like high amounts of, cheesecake and stuff like that. I will get my cravings for those. And so if I'm falling off my diet plan, my spirit or myself would tell me, you're going to suffer the consequences for this. Not because they can't tell me what to do. I'm in charge of my own decisions, my own life. And I will suffer the consequences of my own decisions. But they always tell me, this isn't good for you. Be wary of what is going to happen. Okay? However, your subconscious entity is going to be like, it's cool, go ahead. Like, maybe you shouldn't, but you totally go ahead. Like, you're tired, go ahead. Because your subconscious program knows if I were to put a lot of fat into my body, I would have a system shutdown. My brain wouldn't work as well because my body would be taking that energy that I would be using to function my brain, and it would go towards processing the fat out of my system. So I'm going to be in a weakened state. So that's why my subconscious is like, yeah, go for it. Or, on the other hand, my subconscious would ask me to eat a lot of root foods. And I'd open the fridge and just be like, okay, what should I have? Like what am I going to piece together here? And it would just be like, oh, go for the potatoes, go for some carrots, go for some lots and lots of very dark leafy greens. Now, don't get me wrong. That is a great diet for somebody in a lower frequency because you need all your nutrients and you need to collect your energy from your food. I don't need to do that. Dark Leafy greens pack a lot of minerals and pack a lot of iron and so forth. Iron and metals, when they get into my system on an overwhelming basis, mess up my frequency and my vibration. Root vegetables, things that were grown underground, are too heavy for me. They mess up my vibration. I need foods that have been in the sun or have been harvested through light energy from the sun. Because they are lighter foods. So that's what I need. But my subconscious be like, oh yeah, no, have some carrots, have some potatoes, have some stuff. And it would really try to trigger all of these connections in my brain to further me to do that. So it's like, nah. So language. Also, your spirit is going to give you language in terms of, again, always, so I'm just going to put spirit. Spirit is always in love. Always your best interests. Always in your best interest. Never lying, never false, or half-truths. So, again, always speaking to you from a place of love, not necessarily in love, but saying, speaking of within the love frequency for you. So again, caring for you. If you're sad and if you're feeling down, your subconscious, for example, there would be times when if I didn't reply to somebody in a reasonable amount of time, I feel really bad. Like I really do. I'm getting more and more popular in terms. I'm not saying like woo popular, but I mean like more and more people are asking for my assistance. The more I put myself out there, and there's times when I can't respond to everybody in a timely manner, so I'll feel really guilty, and so the thought will come up in my head and just be like, "You're a real bitch, for not doing that," and I will be like, well, screw you, subconscious, because I know myself, my heart, would never, ever degrade me. Would ever degrade me. But my subconscious would. Because my subconscious wants me to attach a feeling to that comment so that I could feel bad, even worse, and just be like, oh, no, I am a bitch. Look at me, oh, terrible, and lower my frequency. Or... for example, what's another thing that they would say? To be honest with you, they can't say much to me now because I'm like, whatever. Or if I see that cake, right? If I see that cake, because I got a sweet tooth, all right? That's something my body does need. I need sugar. So when I do eat, which I don't eat very much, but when I do eat, I tend to like sweet things, but I need to go for sweet things without the fat. Cake, unfortunately, has a lot of oil and fat and eggs in it and stuff like that. So I should have only a little bit. So sometimes when I'm, ladies, our bodies, what they do during our lovely once a month joinings. Everybody knows what I mean, but like, yeah, your period, that's what I'm saying. We get a lot of cravings and we get a lot of things. So this is my week period when I'm going through my cycles. So my subconscious will, and you're feeling bloated, you're not feeling the greatest when this cycle comes. So my subconscious, if I look at that cake, will say like, wow, you're a fat bitch, aren't you? And in my head, I'm just like, really? No, I'm not. I'm perfectly a normal human size. This is all that it is. That kind of thing. So again, your subconscious isn't going to speak out of turn. Sorry, your spirit is not going to speak in a way that is going to cause you negative programming. Your subconscious will. Your spirit will always speak within your best interest. So they will say things that are within your best interest. So like I was saying, my spirit would give me gentle reminders, even though I'm not doing, if I have that weak moment with the cake, they'll just simply tell me, this is the consequence that's going to happen. So you're gonna have to work through this. It means we're gonna have less energy to do this, that, and that. See, I told you not to have it. That's kind of like, they'll always give you information on your best interest without the degrading or the coercion or the manipulation. Your spirit does not give you lies or half-truths. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to be specific when you are asking your spirit questions. Okay, so something that is asked of me a lot is when people ask me, am I pregnant? And I always was like, you have to be specific when you're asking me a question, because I've processed a lot of information already. So it's like, which part of that information, which part of that statement? Now, somebody would just be like, oh, are you pregnant? What they want to know really is, will I have this baby come to full term? But I'm like, you didn't ask that. You asked if you were pregnant. And I'll say, yeah, you're pregnant. But unless you want to ask me further, will this pregnancy be successful? Will I carry this baby full term? Like, will everything go well? If you don't ask me that, I'll just say, yes, you're pregnant. That pregnancy could last 5 days because you could be miscarriaging. That kind of thing. So that's what I mean about being specific. So your spirit will always tell you the truth. Your subconscious, on the other hand, will tell you, will, for example, I'll use the same analogy. If you were to ask your subconscious, am I pregnant? Your subconscious would be like, yes, you are. Oh, you're going to be a mom. You're going to be a dad, or, well done. Everything's really, really great. And so forth. Now, unless you specifically look further into that, you could then be like, wow, I'm going to have a baby. And you could be so happy, only to then be crushed. Be crushed because your subconscious knows what you were trying to get at, but didn't tell you. Right? And led you down, manipulated you, or coerced you into believing you were going to have this baby that would have brought you so much joy, only to see you crushed later, which will bring you down in frequency because your thoughts and your heart will be in such a state of despair and dismay, and you'll just lower in frequency. So that is what I mean by tell you lies or half-truths. Your spirit would say, you are pregnant, but... And then from that point, that's that hint for you to be like, okay, I am, but what do you mean by that kind of thing? Okay, so that's something to be aware of, is the language. Your spirit will definitely cuss sometimes. So don't be mad, or don't be like, what? When you hear an F-bomb or like an a-hole or a b or whatnot. When it comes to your spirit speaking, I know I've cussed already in this and I'm still going B and whatnot, but don't be scared when you hear that. Yes, spirits do cuss, but it's how you are marrying the feeling and the emotion together, right? So, like, for example, myself, my spirit, and the spirits around me, we would literally, because my subconscious programs or entities, they are created as I raise my frequency, but because I don't feed them anything, they get burnt off really quickly. But for a very short amount of time, they're here. And if your spirit is around me, or the spirits who are around me on a regular basis, they'll just be like, they'll come to me, and because the subconscious will try to interfere with messages and so forth and everything. And that's another reason why I take a little bit longer when I'm replying, because if your spirit has been infiltrated by your subconscious, I have to then remove that subconscious, make sure all of the things are done so I can get the proper message. But anyway, crap, I lost my train of thought now. Talking about this. So yes. So I'll be around spirits, and they'll literally tell me, after we've gone through all the motions, and like, okay, we've blocked this one, and they're just going to be over there in the corner until they get dissolved or burnt off. And we'll just be there, and it's like, they'll be like, Kulipup, Tinkanoa, blah, 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 blah. They'll be like, Kulipup, your subconscious is such an asshole. And I'm like, I know. So Expect that. But it's never cussing towards you, if that makes sense. It's always to the negative or to the situation, but never to you. Whereas the subconscious, they'll call me a B all day long. They're like, F you, whatever, Kulipup, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. You're going to be burnt off in a minute anyway, so. Anyway, so that is one way. You know how, what your conscious is by the language. Wow, that was 20 minutes just going through the language. Hope that helps. So with the language, another way is through feeling. Now this is going to be, everybody can do this. Everybody is going to have the feeling. However, some of you will get the feelings in different ways versus others. But literally you have a feeling of deception. Just off. So something's wrong. You may do things that are just different. Towards your spirit. Okay, so what I mean by feeling, you can get a physical feeling, which will be you know those feelings of goosebumps or the chills. If you're sentient, you may get that. But at this level, it's really, really subtle. And I'm going to describe to you, like, because I'm very, very, very sensitive to lies and deception. Okay, that is one of my abilities. When I say I follow the line of truth, it's because I feel truth. When I speak truth, it comes out easily, accurately, it flows, it feels good. If I speak a lie, I get pressure. Also my throat starts to close up. So I physically feel it. I feel deception very, very strongly. So now so if somebody's lying to me, I'll feel it. And I'm like, depends on how much how much I care about it. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I ask you a question, like, how many cookies did you eat? And you lie to me about that, I will pick up on that lie depending on how much I care about the answer. If I really want to know the answer and I focus on you, I'll be able to tell how many cookies you ate and when and what type they were and what it's done to your body and everything like that. However, if I'm just like, you know what, eat how many cookies you want, I don't really care, then it's not as strong. So it depends on how much I'm focusing on. But I'm always focusing on the words that are coming through, always focusing. So I can feel the deception. Now, and that's also going with you when you feel something is wrong. So the best way I can explain that one is when you are having, I'm going to put it in terms of a couple. So, you know, if you're a couple and you have your spouse, but you feel like there's cheating going on. You know, now I'm not saying that it always is right, don't get me wrong, because this is more of an example based on somebody who is a lower frequency, who is unsure and can be manipulated by your subconscious. So it's not always the case, but I'm just saying the feeling that you have where you don't have any proof, you don't have anything like that, but you just know something's not quite right. Something within this individual's behavior is different. They don't speak to you the same way. There's a little bit of coldness that comes off there, and you're just like, that's not right. So that's another way you feel. You may take different actions towards your spirit, and you may not even know why. And I'll give you an example. Okay, so I astral project pretty much every day when I go into my meditation, and that is because that is where I can come out and see spirits. I can connect to them within my ethereal form, and if I need to cleanse them, I can do. It's where for example, if your spirit comes to me, I will astral project to be in my natural form, And from my natural form, I am pure energy. So what I can do is I can literally push out the subconscious entity that is infiltrating your spirit. And that's normally what I do. I just kind of like, just imagine and my energy just flows through your body, and then this dark little, and well, it's a black entity, like physically black, and it will be popped out, and it will then be there. And normally after that, they are not only surprised that I was able to do that, but then that's when all the cussing happens, like, oh, you bitch, you this, you blah, 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 you get, and I'm like, yeah. But, so I astral project all the time. Anyway, now one time, when I astral projected, and this was during a time when I didn't understand, well, I hadn't discovered yet that my husband's spirit had been taken over by an entity, but this was way back from level 2. And I had fed this entity believing from my level 2 beliefs, and I had taken it, not revisiting it. But anyway, so it turns out that this entity was with me for going through a few of these levels. And but it was increasingly starting to feel weird with him, like his advice that he would give me, his perspective on things, were very lower frequency. And I'd sometimes be like, how is it that you can have a spirit that is vibrating just as well, not just as high, but just like, pretty close to me, or as close as you're gonna get at this level anyway. But yet your thought process is still so, you're not deducing fast enough. You're not finding the patterns fast enough. You're repeating the same things over and over again. And I was just like, why? So one day when I astral projected to see him, I saw him, and because I normally give the spirit a hug or anything like that, and I hugged him, and I went to give him a kiss as well, but I don't know what happened, but my hand reached up and I pulled out a chunk of his hair. And he was just like, what did you do that for? And I was just like, for one, you can't feel it anyway because you're in spirit form. And two, I'm not sure because something's different. There's something about you that is causing me to question your energy and yourself. And I'm like, you're switching too much. This isn't right. So that's what I mean by different actions towards your spirit. Just out of the blue, I'm just like, I'm just going to take a chunk of your hair. And what that was really was myself, my true heart, my inner self, saying my truth of my heart, that this is bringing this to my attention. And with that being brought to my attention, there was one of these times where I was meditating and I had a new subconscious program come in. Now, the thing is, these new subconscious programs, these entities, the new ones that came in, knew that my husband was infiltrated and saw that I wasn't able to recognize it. So they were always at odds, because this new entity was just like, what the fuck is this? Sorry, what the hell is this lower frequency entity still doing? But the lower frequency entity was able to feed off of me and gain this much power without me knowing. But anyway, because I can raise my frequency at will if I need to. So with that, I raised my frequency, and I literally just burnt off anything and everything that was in my presence. And I expanded that out as well. And I found that once that was burnt off, the true spirit of my husband, and also the spirit of one of my very, very good friends that was absorbed by this entity, separated again. And the true spirit of my twin, which I had thought was absorbed and so forth and created into another being, was simply just He wasn't. He was there again. Just him, holy. And I love my husband's spirit. Not only is he's, how tall are you again, babe? He's 7 foot, 7'6". He's 7'6", and he's got a beautiful build, but he's got a tattoo of these big, lovely wings on his back. And they are his wings, and of course, when they come out and they unfurl, they're just like, he's an amazing, stunning sight to see, and it was wonderful seeing him again. Because I hadn't seen that, because an entity doesn't have the tattoo of the wings, doesn't have what they have. So anyway, that is that. Now, next video. So we went through, which is, no, it's an entity, the feeling, the deception, and so forth. I'm going to do another video, and we're going to go into a little bit more about how an entity actually takes power from you. So how do they generate power from you? All right, that is it. Speak to you next one.